We are recording. Okay, just so if anyone has any concerns or issues with that, just wanted to let everybody know that we are, that this will be recorded and it will be posted. And if for some reason some of our answers are not directly correct, we'll always correct them if we need to, if we post something that's incorrect. So welcome everyone. I'm delighted we have 31 people here and we're just at the top of the hour, so that's terrific. Want to say hello to all of my PTA colleagues that are here. Thank you all for being here. Just one.
I can make tiki masala, or I can make a taco for you.
Hey, you know, can I ask everybody? Can I ask
taco.
Everybody to go on mute?
I'll drop off Andrew first, and then I'll come back. All right.
Hey Sharon.
And get you what you need.
Hey Sharon, can you put yourself on mute, please?
I think you can do it for her.
I thought I could, but let me go to participants and just go on down the line. Yeah, I'll do that then.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, we're good. All right. So the only announcement is that we're delighted. We have posted on the, it was in the e-news, and it's also on the PTA web site, is our slate for next year. We're delighted. We have some new individuals joining us. I will be a past president. Shannon Herbst will be our new president for next year. Leslie Voigt will be the treasurer. Now you're going to have to connect me because I forgot to keep my list here. Jenny Beckman will be the secretary. Stephanie Sawich will be volunteer. We have Kayla McGrath, who will be the vice president. Andrea Long is going to assist with volunteers. And we have one person to whom I'm forgetting, Shannon, and I'm gonna, who's taking over grants, Jenny? That's who I've forgotten.
Meredith,
thank you.
Meredith Richardson.
Now, Meredith Richardson will be taking on grants. And then there are still some open positions if people want to on some of our subcommittees and such. So please take a look at that list. But we're delighted to have a new slate for next year. That will be great. And I will be turning over the reins to Shannon as of June. So why don't we get started? Shannon, this is, I know it was your idea to really invite the incoming freshman parents for a Q&A. So I know you've got a list of questions, some that came to you and some that we kind of put together based on what we think people tend to want to know or ask us individually. And so we'll just get started.
Okay. Thank you, Julia. So I just want to start by introducing myself just a little bit, because I want to spend most of this time actually going through questions and answers, and then also just kind of give a little perspective in terms of how to view this session. So my daughter is a senior, and so she's been going through the college acceptance process. And Kalamazoo College is one of the colleges that she was actually going, or is looking at. And they did a parent panel, and it was so impressive. It was very casual. Now they had a little mocktail cocktail half-hour thing, which I didn't know if that would be acceptable or not. So I didn't add that part of it to it. But then the next hour was just parents. It was really, there were some predefined questions and parents that just answered them from their point of view. And that's really what this is about. I know we do have members of the administration here. So if there are questions that really get into the academics or what colleges are looking for, this really was, we can talk a little bit about that, but and we can give you our perspectives, but I'm going to tell you to go to the professionals. Every child is unique, and I don't want to give any advice or give you something that's based on my own child's perspective or any of the other parents on this, but happy to give you that perspective. But just please keep that in mind. I would hate for somebody to make a decision about their kid's academic future based on something that I said. That's totally outside of my swim lane. So what I'm going to do is I have received I received some questions through email, and then I have a set of predefined questions and folks that have graciously offered to answer them. I'm going to start that way, but if I see, I'm very flexible, and if I start to see more questions coming in chat, I will drop some and we'll switch around. So, and there's only, it looks like 42 participants. And if we don't get many more, then I may even just open it up and let, instead of people using chat, just allow people to kind of raise their hand. Where I think there's a little function to do that, and then they can ask their question that way. But we'll just start out using the standard format that I proposed, and then as this evolves, change it up if we think it makes more sense. So with that, I can't tell if Debbie is on the call yet, and Debbie is the one who submitted questions. I can't see.
I don't see.
I
her.
am here.
Okay.
I'm on my,
Yes.
I'm
Okay,
underneath. Yeah.
Because I was
Okay,
like, well,
okay.
the one, the person who, submitted them, I got to make sure she's on the call. So I have it first, but I know people sometimes have dinner and stuff like that. So I'm going to start from the top. So I'm going to skip over. You asked about buses, and nobody had volunteered to talk about the bus pickup. So I'm going to put that one in the parking lot, to use a bingo phrase from the corporate world. And we'll get back to you on that. So the next question you had, Debbie, was, are X block classes mandatory? And Jenny, do you want to answer that?
I would be happy to answer that. X-Block classes are absolutely not mandatory. X-Block classes, and this kind of ties into one of your, I'm stepping on one of your later questions about tutoring that's available. X-Block classes, while they're not mandatory, I cannot recommend them more highly. The Seaholm teachers and staff are there and are available and can answer one-on-one questions. And actually they're excited when kids come in and can give them help. And if your kid is struggling in math or any topic, it's a great way to go in. It starts at 7:25, I think, Kyle. Am I correct with that? 3 days a week.
Right. It's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 7:30, but
Okay.
often they're a little bit early until 8:10.
Yeah, and so it's often, there's often only a couple of kids because kids like to sleep in.
Right.
And my kids, like, for example, would go in and they'd have a couple questions themselves. And then they would like to sit there, particularly like on a day before a test, and listen to what other kids were asking, and they could pick up things that they didn't even know. So while they're not mandatory, can't recommend them enough.
Thanks, Jenny. Stephanie, anything to add?
No, a lot of times too, if they've been absent, it's a good way to meet with a teacher to go over what they've missed too in a one-to-one session. They can schedule that with the teacher, just let them know that they're coming in for some help if there's been absences. And sometimes there's tests even given during that time, or lab makeups too. So it's just really an open time for kids to get additional help and ask questions. That's how I would look at X-Block. Oh, and club meetings, right? There's club meetings a lot of times during
yeah,
that,
occasionally,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Occasionally we'll have club meetings. They'll schedule some meetings for students because it's a little more practical than after school when we have
Right.
conflict of athletics and things like that. So occasionally they'll do that. Not every club does that because the teachers need to be available for academic support. But you're right, Stephanie, we do occasionally try to do that just to help with the logistics of everybody's schedule.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is there an in-person freshman orientation? Do students have an opportunity to visit Seaholm with their schedules before the school year starts? And I believe, Jenny, you were going to take this one, and I think Amy had sent you some information.
My understanding is that the tentative date, and Kyle, stop me if I'm not supposed to be sharing this.
No, this is fine.
August 19th.
Mhm.
For freshmen to come in for orientation. They will have their schedule, they'll get their schedule, they'll be able to walk, and school, I don't know where they will be with COVID in the fall, but in the past, school has been great about kids have been able to come in and walk their schedule and make sure that they're very comfortable before school starts. So, and the freshman orientation, if they, miss it, if you have plans, obviously you have to miss it, and they could maybe come in, you could make arrangements, but the freshman orientation is great. They'll get assigned an upper class student who will be their Make Me a Maple mentor. It'll give them like a little text group where if they have questions, it gives them a point of contact where they'll be able to reach out and get some answers pretty quickly.
Great, thanks, Jenny. Yeah, that's basically it. It is a tentative date because we don't have all of the calendar dates confirmed, but that's likely as we project, that's likely the date. And we definitely want to have our incoming freshmen come in and have a chance to look around the building and work with their mentors. And if, as Jenny mentioned, you can't make it for that date, please just reach out. We'll find another time. We're often in the building anyway. And so we'd be happy to have you come in and visit.
Great. Thank you. The next question Debbie had was, when is the school board approving the 2021-2022 calendar? Cindy, is this something you can answer?
Well, I can answer it just as well as any of the rest of you can. Soon, very soon. But it has not been announced at this moment.
Okay.
Maybe tell them why so that they understand why there's a delay. Because isn't it contract negotiations that's going on right now?
I'm sorry?
Isn't it contract negotiations?
That is what I understand.
Yes.
That's not this year, that is every year.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Right, Cindy. Thank you. It is something that comes every year. These dates are agreed upon by the BEA and the administration. We set up a calendar. Each building tries to, create the dates. We all have input, and then it's confirmed and published. So while things are often similar each year, they might vary by a day or two. But generally speaking, that will come out, as Cindy said, soon.
Thank you. I'm going to call an audible.
Shannon? Yeah,
Yes.
Shannon, there was a question in the chat.
Yes, that's what I'm
yeah.
going back to.
Perfect.
Because it related to the topic we just talked
Correct.
about. Yep,
Yeah.
you and I are.
Yep.
Will there be an opportunity in the spring to visit Seaholm for familiarization while school is in session? Kyle, I'm going to defer that one to you.
Sure, thank you. We will not have tours moving forward, or we have not planned any, simply because of the situation with the pandemic. However, we do plan on having, right now we are planning an activities fair for incoming ninth graders on May 26th. And so we're pretty excited about that. I've been working with Erin Frank, our athletic director. This activities fair usually occurs in the gym, and we're going to have to, of course, put in place some safety protocols. We're thinking of probably having perhaps having even a sign-up genius, and we'll do it by hours, like from a 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. And Erin and I talked about, we're doing some really exciting things that are being planned with the bond, and we're hoping to have some information we might be able to share for our incoming students, to some renditions and things of what's to come outside. And so we really are trying to plan something pretty exciting for that time period. And then in the gym, we have all the tables of all the activities. We have upperclassmen and students who sit at those tables and share information as students go around and see some of the activities they might want to participate in. And even today, we were talking about that earlier, given the situation with freshmen, that our current freshmen are, and how they didn't really have the chance for that activities fair. We might be planning on something that will allow them to also have a chance to, to go to attend an activities fair, and that might be during the day. And so again, it would be, a kind of organized thing where some students come this time, some period, this period, and this period, and then they come and they can check in at all the various activities and see some of the same things we're going to be showing to the incoming freshmen that night. So we are definitely planning on that. Again, it's May 26th. It's on our calendar, and I'm hoping that we're going to have more details and a plan to share moving forward.
Thanks, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next question is do parents use the existing Chartwell's account to add money for lunches at Seaholm? Cindy?
Yes, that is been my experience. So Chartwell's, the account covers children K through 12. And you can add money, you can transfer money from child to child. Just be careful, once one child graduates, that was my experience, then I could not actually transfer her money to my younger child. Maybe that's just, I didn't know what I was doing, but I did just read today that USDA has approved free meals for the next school year as well. So
Oh, wow.
you can set up your Chartwell's account. I personally don't know that I would put a lot of money into it right now until we figure out what is happening with food service.
Cindy, are they doing the whole, you mean the federally funded like we're doing now in Birmingham School District? Is
We
that-
don't know about Birmingham School District,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
it
I just wanted
was
to clarify that.
announced today that it will be available. I assume the district has to somehow buy into that.
Yeah, they
But
do.
they're already
Okay.
looking forward to the entire next school year, the free food for everyone.
That's
Wow,
awesome. And that
that is
includes
awesome.
breakfast that's offered too.
That is
Like
correct.
at high school, like when the kids come in, they can grab some fruit or whatever.
Right, that's K
granola
through
bar.
12.
Yeah,
Right.
awesome.
K through 12, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kyle, there was a couple questions that I got directly through the chat on the coming in for the activities fair. How
Mhm.
would an incoming ninth grade student or parent know to sign up for that if there's going to be slots? How would that be
Right.
communicated?
We'll be sending that out through the middle school. So through Derby and BCS, and Berkshire will communicate with them, the Sign Up Genius, and that will go out through them because until the students are rolled over into our curriculum,
System.
database, we don't have access, but we will communicate with the principals of those schools. I'll send that link out to you through their Blackboard announcements. We'll probably also have it on our page, but literally this is kind of this decision. I mean, we had planned on having the activity fair, but how we're doing it is just now being fleshed out. So we'll be sending that information in the next week or two.
Okay, and then someone also asked just how do they get school communication? And I think just any parent or student who is assigned to Seaholm gets the e-news and gets the communications that come from you once they are registered with the school. Is that correct?
Right. So it's important that 8th grade parents do not actually like end their communication because it's rolled over. And so if they end it, then they have to re-sign up. And so it's something that's important that we are able to communicate. And so we will send out information about that as well with some of our incoming orientation materials, but we definitely want to make sure that you're a part of our messaging. And so yeah, we definitely want you to be a part of that, but it's part of the rolling over into the high school. So we'll send that out. If you have any questions about that, though, please feel free to contact my assistant, Kathy Tingeris. Just go right to our website and reach out or give her a call, and she will, go through the instructions with you if you need to. But that will be occurring as your child transfers and rolls over into the high school.
The other, I don't know when we do this, and I don't know if Andy is on the line, but we do also have a Facebook group and a Twitter account, and we have, I can't tell you, the most amazing person that manages it. And everything, and including questions like we're doing right now, just some of the, just the stuff to navigate the day-to-day. Which sometimes is really all you need. People are actually pretty good and well-versed in talking about the big stuff, but sometimes it's just the little stuff. Andy's all over that. So please check that out. She's always posting the new events that are happening, responding to various questions that come in. So, feel free to sign up and join our group. Oh, look, thank you, Jenny. Okay, next question.
Wait, Shannon, can I
Yes.
add something to the
Yes.
activities fair
Oh, yes.
conversation?
Sure.
One thing that was really important to us was signing up at the activities fair for, in our case, marching band, and girls swimming, because those start in August. So half the season is over for swimming by the time school starts. So in order to get on those communication lists, it's really important at the activities fair to get your name, your child's name, and your emails on those teams.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, that's absolutely true. You can also, of course, reach out to Aaron Frank, our athletic director, if you want more specific information to contact those sports teams. I noticed that Julia, thank you for putting my assistant Kathy. She normally comes to PTA, but she's at the soccer game tonight. So it would be, please feel free to reach out to her for some of that communication information, and Aaron for any of the sports information that you might have questions or concerns about. He's happy to answer them. We are working on the band camp. I see the question about the band camp for summer. Again, these are meetings we generally have about the calendar here at the school, and then we'll communicate them to you. Generally, it's obviously in August. And this year, in the past, we've had problems either with COVID or construction. But this year, hopefully everything is going to go according to plan, and we can arrange for that. But definitely Tim Seymour is the band teacher here at Seaholm, and works closely with Nikki Sanford, who is, at Derby. So we definitely will communicate that information and share that with you. They have a great booster club. I know a lot of the parents here today, they can probably tell you more information than I have even on it. But we will definitely communicate that and want to make sure that you're a part of that.
Thanks. Okay. The next question, and Jenny did allude to this earlier, I just want to make sure that if there's anything else we wanted to add. The question is, are there tutoring services available at Seaholm, or times my student can receive extra help from teachers? So we talked a bit about X block. Is there, in terms of using that, are there other times, or is that the time, like the standard time, unless you arrange something with the teacher? I don't know, Jenny or Kyle, if you want to answer that from that point of view.
I'm happy. I would recommend XBlock because you're going straight to the source. You're going to the teacher. That's your best place to get information. I know in the past, NHS has offered tutoring. Obviously, there was no in person this year with COVID, and I'm not sure that got off the ground and running. There are some additional places that you can go to, but my 100% recommendation is to take advantage of XBlock. And even the teachers are so great. Send them an email, go in, meet them virtually or in person at lunch or after school. I have yet to have a situation where when my child has reached out to ask for help, that they have not been more than willing to find time to make that happen for them.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, Leslie, you are up. What are some examples of things my student can get involved in at Seaholm outside of sports?
All right, well, there's lots of clubs that already exist. And if your child is interested in starting their own club, I believe all they need to do is find a teacher kind of sponsor to go along with them, and they are able to do that. There's student government, which I believe anyone who wants to participate can. There is the theater program, whether or not you're in choir, you don't have to be in choir to do theater. Field day, which happens at the beginning of the year, normally in the fall. There are lots of opportunities with that. As a student, you can do, if you're artistic, you can work on the banner. If you have like dance or choreography experience, you can help with the march. There's a charity component, so you could help lead that. There are leadership roles within field day, and then there's also just a lot of participation that's needed by the students. Besides the clubs, there's also schools offer support, SOS, which has Club SOS, student volunteers that does community service and also helps out BPS families in need. That's all I can think of right now. If you guys can chime in with other stuff.
The one thing I would say is if you go to the activities fair, encourage your child to put their name on lots of different lists, even though they're not sure, because those lists tend to be the core way to get connected. So if they're not sure they want to do debate, or they want to do Model United Nations, or they want to do whatever the sport thing is, or the activity is, get on the list, and then you can kind of figure it out, because you don't want to get left out. And sometimes it's hard to get connected otherwise. So that would be my encouragement, is you can always take yourself off the list. And it's just a nice way to, get introduced to some kids.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Shannon, for putting the link to the clubs and activities in the chat room. And I do want to, support exactly what Julia said. One of the key parts of succeeding at high school is finding, your posse, your group that you're going to be hanging with. And there is something for everyone. If your child is academically oriented, there are things like Model UN, there are things like the newspaper and the yearbook, and other clubs and organizations that are academically oriented. If your child is an athlete, we have just about every sport that you want him to be involved in or her involved in, and some of them are non-cut sports. And so if that's something that you're interested in, you say, look, I want him to start here so he meets people or she meets people, then we highly recommend that. And then finally, too, we have a community service organizer, Dr. Suzanne O'Leary, and one way to, if your child is one of those that, well, I don't know what he wants, he's not really an athlete, and he's not really interested in academics, there's nothing better than to meet students who are oriented to community service, who want to give back, because they're a great group of kids who come together and just do different activities and events to help. SOS is one of those, Interact is one of those. We have a junior optimist club. I mean, literally, that is designed to just basically make people smile and feel optimistic about the world and get involved in supporting people. And so if you have particular concerns about that, please reach out to us or Dr. O'Leary or me, and we will find something that your child can be involved in to meet others. And I think that is just fundamental to having a real good connection with Seaholm. And the students who are connected seem to do better even in their learning and in their emotional well-being. And we even have clubs for emotional well-being, okay? And so we have so many clubs and activities that there is something for everyone. And we will help you individually if you feel you need that.
So Leslie, before we get up on this one, do you want to talk about what your daughter is working on this year, which is brand new? I think it's just so cool.
Yeah, but you guys might know more about it than I do, because she won't tell me a lot.
I'm right here. I got you. So go ahead.
Okay, so my understanding, they are creating at Seaholm like a kind of a resale kind of thrift store under the guise of like recycle, reuse, open to everyone. They're going to be collecting donations of gently used clothing and other items, and the kids will be able to come and shop during certain hours during school, and they will be able to take a certain number of items for free, and the only price is to write like an encouraging note to a staff member at Seaholm. So they have a room already that they're going to be able to use. They're going to start clearing it out and setting it up and start asking for donations very soon. And that'll just be something that'll sustain for years to come. And it was based on a model of a similar type store at Troy Athens High School.
Yeah, so we are really excited about this store and all the things. I mean, the kids have such great ideas. Like they want to see, like even like some of our art students, putting things in there for students. It's not simply clothing, but it's also maybe jewelry or art or just things that you've made. And we are beyond excited about this opportunity. And so we've been working on that, and we hope to have a kind of soft opening coming up this spring. And Leslie's daughter is in charge of it. She is excited and really bringing aboard so many kids who really want to be a part of this, and for a variety of reasons, not only for sustainability, but for the compassion for people who might need these things, but also just for the joy of sharing. And I've just been amazed at our students and their interest in our environment and this kind of action to sustain our environment by reusing things, and it's just pretty exciting. So we are really, really proud of this effort, and if your child would like to be a part of it, we would love to have him. This is the kind of thing that is going to roll over each year, we're going to need people involved and on a variety of levels, whether it's sorting through the clothing and the items, and merchandising them. We see our students in retail management getting involved in these things. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful learning opportunity. I also wanted just to go back. I did text Tim Seabor, our band director, while we were here. He says there's a band concert on May 11th at 7 p.m. outside in the courtyard. I can't wait to see that. And that camp, his tentative date is August 1st through the 6th. Okay, so we have not issued that calendar yet, but he's saying that that's generally the time he tries to do it, the first week of August. Okay, so that's the plan.
Thank you. Just a time check. So it's 7:30 and I have probably about 4 or 5 more questions. And then I just want to make sure that there is time at the end too, if there's other things that people want to talk about. Okay, Julia, this one is for you. Can you explain the Flex program and can you discuss the pros and cons of Flex versus traditional path?
Can. Thank you for asking. My daughter's been in Flex for 4 years, though some students do join as sophomores as well. Flex is a combination of history and English, literature. It's got some economics, US government, all of that tied in together. It's the first 2 periods of every day, Monday through Friday. It is freshmen through seniors all collectively together, which I think makes it extremely unique in that regard, because you've got upperclassmen, working with freshmen and sophomores. It's very seminar focused, Socratic method focused. It really builds a community from the beginning of when you join the school, because you've got your Flex community around you. That's some of the pros. I know for my daughter, that she came to Seaholm because of the Flex program, because of the level of seminar, the level of dialogue, the kind of communication that goes on. The sources that are used from an English and history perspective are not just the traditional textbook. You've got documentaries, you're watching podcasts, you're reading articles, the federal papers. I mean, it's really, I've been stunned with the amount of materials that they use as a course of context. There's new electives. Students can create a new elective if they like within the context of the Flex program, which is pretty key. The Flex is somewhat considered an honors program for English and for the humanities and for history. That said, and I know this question comes up as it relates to taking some of the AP courses. You do need to be cognizant that your student, if they wanted to take an AP Lit test or a AP Lang, that they would have some additional work that they may need to do simply because of the way it syncs up. So the content is covered, but it doesn't necessarily sync always. Economics is covered, US government is covered. So that's all. They do a thesis at the end of their senior year. It's through their whole senior year, and then they complete it. It's a big board presentation. My daughter just did hers. It's a 20 to 25 page paper with a 20-minute oral presentation that you give. So there's a lot of those. It really drives critical thinking and synthesis within the Flex program. You can take other AP tests or classes if you'd like, and you can definitely take the AP exams as part of Flex, but you need to give some additional time and attention to it simply because of the way the timing works. And sometimes certain AP classes are focused on the AP test. The con can sometimes be seen that if your child wants to do band, it's because of the schedule with Flex, it's a little tough to do band and Flex and get other electives in that you may want to have. That would be one observation I would have, is that there's a challenge there to get some of the electives that you'd like to have. If your child really wants to take the AP for Econ, micro and macro, I'd say take those as electives. Because I think that allows you to kind of get a greater focus in that specific area. But the other thing I'll say is, from a recommendation letter to college, my daughter had some of the same teachers for 4 years in a row. So they could really speak to her background and learning on a college recommendation, which I think was pretty key and pretty important. And students that have been in the Flex program go to colleges all over the country. U of M knows about the Flex program. We've had a student last year from the Flex program that went into Harvard. So
Julia, in the world, where did your daughter get into? Come on.
And St. Andrews in Scotland. So I'm a huge proponent of the Flex program. You need to make sure it works for your student, for sure. But I think there's a huge community within the Flex program that I think is really cool. So I'm a supportive. If anyone has specific questions I can answer to my daughter, certainly would be happy to. But yep. I think I covered most of it there.
Great. Okay. The next question, what options are available to students who do not want to do traditional college, but rather a trade? So if Amy is on, then I'll have Amy do it, but I know she was at her board meeting or
for the board.
Actually, okay. I've got a bunch of information on it. So
perfect.
Yeah. So
and some of this was great because we had a whole meeting on this because there is a lot offered that I even, fortunately I have a son going in to be a freshman, so I've got 4 years to leverage it. But I didn't realize it until now.
So we did some conversation. So if you want to hear the actual presentation, Heidi Snyder did it at our January PTA meeting, but there are, state of Michigan has what's called career and technical education. It's a huge program that they do. There are close to, there's a whole series of different programs that one can take. And really the notion is to get a student to have an opportunity. I think there's 17 clusters of different career groupings, is to get an opportunity to experience a career before they graduate from high school, and to get some technical training before they graduate from high school. So there's a series of things that one can take throughout the 4 years. And CTE, you can look at, actually, if you look up CTE Michigan, you'll see quite a bit of the program. And then there's also what's called OSTC, which is the Oakland County Technical Campus. And they have, I want to say 20 some different areas of training and education. A lot of it focuses in your junior and senior year, where you can actually graduate high school with certifications in certain capabilities. It could be automotive technology, could be computer programming, could be medical health sciences, could be culinary and hospitality, cyber networking. There's a laundry list. As I said, there's quite a long list of areas that one can do. So there's a lot of opportunities. If your child, if they want to go to college, great, they can still have that technical skill, but there are lots of kids who say, I'm not sure if I'm ready to go, or I don't want to go, I want a technical skill. And there's lots of opportunity, architecture, business management and administration. There's just a whole laundry list. And we'll post some of this out on the PTA website, but I would encourage you, because I didn't know a lot about it. I think a lot of people don't know. Haley Snyder is focused on that for BPS. And we can post her email address for you as well. But there's a plethora of opportunities, and there are campuses depending on where you geographically are located. I think the one for OSTC is in the Royal Oak area. And so I would encourage you to go out to OSTC, the website, and also to what's called CTE, which is Career and Technical Education. And then there are certain counselors within Seaholm who can help you with that. But again, Haley is really quite focused on being able to do that. Kyle, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that, but it's a very robust program.
Right. And I would just, I think you explained it fairly well. If you want to know more information about it, please reach out to us. Each of the counselors has information on it. And yes, we have a district coordinator, that's Hallie Snyder. She can help, but any of our counselors can help you with that. And they are wonderful programs. As Julia said, a student can leave with certification and go right into the workplace, with getting paid quite a bit of money, and or consider college in a different way, whether that be at night or later, and really find himself or herself in a great position with something that he or she is really interested in. So we highly recommend it. It's there, it's available, and if you have any questions about it, please definitely reach out to your counselor.
Then thank you, both of you. The next question, and this one I will ask Stephanie. As my son or daughter gets older and more independent, it feels like there are fewer opportunities as a parent to get involved. Can you tell me what opportunities exist for parents to stay involved?
I would love to answer that question. Thank you. This organization right here is a prime example of what you can do to stay in touch with your child. I currently have a freshman at USC in California, and I have Ethan, who is at Seaholm as a sophomore. So I have 2 more years. No offense, Kyle, 2 more years. So, but I'll never leave you. Don't worry. It's funny because I know elementary school, you know, all the kids and all the parents, right? Then the kids go to middle school, you know, most everybody, right? You have different elementary schools kind of coming together and you see the kids that they're hanging out with and you don't know all the parents, but you get to know some of the kids. Then high school hits and everything feeds into 2 high schools unless they go private. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know who they're hanging out with. I don't know any kids. I don't know any parents other than the parents that the kids, you know, went to elementary school with that you guys were really close with. I found that PTA is the best way to really get to know how Seaholm works, get to know Kyle, get to know her staff, get to know where you can go for different things. How does college work? Who do I go to? You know, so my child's emailing all the teachers and I'm not helping anymore. I'm out of, you know, I have no control of anything. PTA is great to join a committee to just start and just help. And you can see how things work. You also meet us that can kind of walk you through different things. And I know it's different with COVID now, so it's not as uniform as it usually is, but I think PTA is a great way to kind of start that process and for parents to kind of meet other parents and you know, especially with the days and the world that we're living in today is very different than it was 2 years ago, right? It's a great way to make sure that you're not missing anything, your child's not missing anything. You know about all the avenues for information, along with some people maybe to vent to about your kid, you know, and different things like that. I am going to give a small plug, if that's okay, to SOS. I'm co-president of an organization called SOS, and that is, it used to be called Seaholm Offer Support, and it started about 12 years ago out of Seaholm High School, and about a year and a half, Kyle, we started moving to district-wide and changed the name to Schools Offer Support, and we have Kids Club for SOS, which is what Leslie's daughter that's running the clothing closet. The Maple Closet, I guess. I think that's what we're calling it, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that or not. Maybe, I don't know.
Actually, the kids are changing the name, so.
They are? Okay, so I'm safe. I didn't blow anything yet. Okay, great. So it's a 501c3. It's a completely nonprofit. We have helped 93 families so far across the district that need food. You would be surprised at how many people are struggling right now that you live next to, that your kids ride the bus with, that you know, a lot of people's jobs have been affected and a lot of income has been hurt by this. We're still not out of the woods, unfortunately. So SOS is another organization. We are kind of based out of Seaholm. We're not going anywhere. That's our home. And we were always looking for good people, just like PTA is. And my co-president, Amy Hokemer, with SOS, is also on the board of PTA. So we love all working together. I guess that's what I'm saying. So definitely sign up for a PTA committee or come to the meetings, especially, hopefully they'll be in person soon. And I know that next year, Shannon is planning some really fun stuff for parents, right? I'm not going to blow it. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm just
a social person. I'm number 5 out of 8. So I like to be around people. Let's just say that.
You just have a good time. Yeah. It's a great time. You want to become involved. You want to know how this works because it's way different than middle school. That's
so
all.
Oops, sorry. I was going to chime in real quick because Leslie, my gosh, I feel like you are involved in so many different areas within the high school beyond PTA and SOS. So anything you want to share from your perspective?
Yeah, I would say if your child does a sport, the sports boosters or the band boosters always need volunteers, whether you're like the president or the treasurer or just volunteering for like fundraising. Sports and band boosters are a great opportunity to volunteer. Each grade has
for incoming ninth graders. So we thought about some kind of concept where we could do something for parents as well, so that when parents have just small minor questions, where do I go to for this? How do I get there for that? Now, granted, I cannot be that person because I have no clue. I'm always asking Leslie, but there are people who know this stuff, and it's, sometimes you just want to have somebody that you can just go to. So we are looking at trying to establish something like that as well. We're not there yet. Hopefully we will, but just in any way we can try to open up the doors of communication is what we're trying to do here. So the last question, and Jenny, I'm going to ask you this question, is any words of advice for first-time high school parents? Or the way I had originally written it was, knowing what you know now, what do you wish you would have known then, if I'm saying it correctly?
So I wrote down 10 things. I had my top 10 list for you for tonight. And based on everything we've talked about, I'm down to 4.
Okay.
Already. I'm going to give it one more plug for the activities fair, just because even though I've already crossed it off, like, go with your child, sign up for many, many things, put your parent email address on there. When they say, no, I don't want to do that, you are not committed to anything you sign up at activities fair. You are just getting on the email distribution to get information. So get on those lists. My second thing is to start teaching your child that they need to check their email or Schoology every day. They're going from a world in middle school where maybe that was not necessarily the case. They're going to miss information in their life if they're not checking in on those things. And you can check them for them. And I did with my oldest child, but if you can get them to check them, you'll be better off in the long run. My next thing is, and this seems crazy to me, but I wish I had known this starting at 9th grade, start a Word document on their computer, your computer, that says resume. And as they join a team or a club or get an award or volunteer at SOS, start a list of all those things, because when they're in 11th grade and they need to apply for colleges and you try and go, oh gosh, I have to remember all those things, you will miss some things, and you'll be very grateful if you have that from the get-go. They can even put it in the notes in their phone. They'll need the volunteer hours if they want to apply for things like NHS or some other things. So it's just helpful to keep a running record of that. My second to last thing is, in each class, I tell my kids, when they go to class each trimester, look around them and find 2 or 3 kids in the class and start a text group in that class. Because when it's 9 o'clock at night and you're not sure what the homework is, or you have a question and it's probably like you can email your teacher, but it's kind of late to expect a response from them. If you have a little text group with 2 or 3 friends, that's a really quick and easy way to get information, and has saved my kids in many situations. And then my last piece of advice for you, and you're going to laugh at me, but you'll thank me at some point, is the next time you're at the store, buy a couple pieces of foam core poster board, stick them in the back of your closet, because at some point at 10 p.m., a child is going to come to you and say, I need poster board for tomorrow. And you're going to go, oh, that parent told me I needed it. And you're going to pull it out of the closet and be really grateful that you don't have to go
That
to
is the
store.
best advice ever. If you remember anything from this call, remember Jenny Beckman said that.
I'm back to the list. I wish I would have known that, because Megan and I really struggled with trying to remember everything.
Yes.
So I've got a redo child starting freshman year, so I get to try again.
I hope it goes better for you.
Does anybody else? I had my practice child and the real one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a bad way to say it? Does
No,
anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah.
I'd add a couple things. I think that the counselors, while they've got a large group of students that they need to work with, I encourage your student to spend time with their counselor early and often. And the reason I say that is because you get to know them, and they can help you when you need things done. You want to figure out what classes you want to do. You want to figure out, you need to reconfigure something. I mean, my daughter couldn't say enough about Mr. Flatter, because she had some, challenges with her schedule, and he was extremely helpful. And because she had spent 4 years in and out of his office, 3 in and out of his office, he could write a great recommendation, right? So they don't have the time to reach out to your student. Your students got to ask for the help. They got to sit down and get to know them. They got to get in their office and they got to develop a relationship. So that's one thing I would put on the list. And then academically, not to put pressure, but if you have a sense of, if your kid wants to go to a certain kind of school or wants to do, let's say engineering or the Ross School at U of M, or they want to do whatever, they need to think about, even as a freshman, what AP classes am I going to take? And not to be, not to get too intense about it, but if they're down that path, think about it in advance. If that's not their shtick, that's okay. But if they are, wanting to go to some of those more selective schools, or schools that are going to require that kind, you want to think about it in advance so that you don't say to yourself as a junior, I didn't take the background that I needed, to get into some of those classes that I wanted to take that'll get me into the school that I want to go to. So that's, you think about it a little bit in advance, and parents can fill you in on lots of that. Some of the members on the PTA, have been through that process. So, but I think the counseling department and the college counselor is great too. So Seaholm, puts a lot of focus on that, and there's lots of cup of coffees and cup of college, and take advantage of all of that. My daughter would say she just went and listened as a sophomore to even though she wasn't even planning on any of those schools, just to figure out what she was thinking. Like, she would just go and listen just to get the ideas. So, and parents
Anybody
can join
else?
too.
And I do want to give, because there was a person who had to join late, so I do want to give at least a minute to answer that question. But is there anybody else want to chime in, feel passionate about some advice they want to share with the parents? Good luck.
It's a fun ride. And if your
Yeah.
kids can find, I think this past year and a half has been a little crazy, no doubt about it. But I think there's lots of ways for the introverts and the extroverts to find their community. And if they can't, the counselors and Kyle and others will help them. They just have to ask, because I think the resources are there. It's hard to ask sometimes, but I think the resources are there. So I would, like as Jenny goes, go to the activity fair, put your name on lots of things, just give it a go, and then see where you end up.
Yep. Okay, well, we only have 4 more minutes, and there was a question that came in, and it is about school times. So I'm going to turn this over to the administration.
I responded to that one.
Oh, you
to
did?
the person privately, but as of right now, we do not have a calendar for next year, and we do not have a starting time and ending time for school. I don't, or
Right.
has that changed, Kyle?
No, it hasn't changed, but the question is definitely on the minds of the administration. I think yesterday received an email was included in a chain with the superintendent and the deputy superintendent asking that very question. As we move forward into next year, we are noticing that I think it's Bloomfield Hills, I think, is saying they're going to be starting at 8:30. Troy said in the next 2 years, not this next year, but the next year, they're thinking of starting at 8. So really, I do believe we've been talking about for years, goodness, I've been in teaching forever. And we always have talked about the way our students, the teenagers, really should be coming in later, but it's just been always a problem with the bus and athletics. That's what they say every time, and we do nothing about it. Well, this pandemic has forced us into working, around that, and has really, I think, shown us that delayed start time is beneficial to our students. And so I think the teachers feel that way as well. And I think that a lot of, like, the 3 days of X block this year has been helpful. And that the fact that teachers, as others have mentioned, really are available every day during the week, really up until 8:10. And I know a lot of students are taking advantage of that. And the teachers are really appreciating that extra time to get things done and work with kids before getting started. So I am hopeful that that will be addressed. And I guess I would say that if that is something that is important to you, or if you feel strongly about that you need to let us know, maybe let central office know. I don't know if Amy was on here, but I know that that's something that it's definitely, we are looking into and that schools across the county are looking into. And I would probably hazard a guess that across the country are looking into, because I think it's worked well.
Awesome. Well, we
Our
are,
students who are graduating will be very jealous.
Yeah, yeah.
so we are at time again. That doesn't mean if you don't have any, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Is there anything else, final words, Julia, Kyle, anybody else? Or, and then do you want to, since I've got you here, do you want the board to stay on after everyone just to kind of debrief, or are we done? I don't want to just shut off too fast.
We have to approve the minutes, right? So we can do that after.
Yeah, we can do that. So let's just hang on for a minute after
Yeah.
we close.
But I guess just to Shannon's point, you know, our names are in the directory. You can reach out to any one of us. We're happy to give perspective. We know we've all got kids at different stages and ages, but would be happy. I think we do want to create some kind of a community for the freshman parents if they want to. And I know that Shannon mentioned a little bit about that, so that you can, you know, your dial on how to get an answer on some things. So I know Shannon's going to continue to focus on that. So.
Yeah. Oh, and then I'll take my cues from Stephanie. Please, and back to Mike Wicker, parent reps. We do have committees. Would love to have some of you on those committees. So please, you know, that's out there as well. Take a look at those, ask questions. We'd love to see you.
And just an FYI, like I'm a full-time working parent and so is Shannon.
Yeah.
Right. So just because you do have a full-time job, you can still do this. It's fun.
And because of that, we have really, you know, again, the pandemic has really changed the way people think about some of these things. But we also have to think about parents where they like things during the day. So we're looking at that as well. We're trying to be as accommodating to everybody, but we are finding that there's more participants in the evenings. But like I said, we do want to have some things in person next year, more social than anything else, because we can do these types of meetings over Zoom. We don't need to do that face to face. We should do something fun face to face.
Agreed.
Not
So
fun.
yeah.
That's been our disappointment, that we have not been able to get the parents together for anything.
Right.
That's been
Yes.
kind of a bummer. So.
And I just got to figure out how to not get in trouble. So figure out what all the rules are first.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Really a pleasure to have you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't think we have anything we need to cover. I think the slate is up and we could probably stay on and do the minutes. If you
Okay.
want.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate it. Stop the recording at this stage.